This is Knowledge Engineering with Semantic Web Technologies. Welcome to lecture number 5, Ontological Engineering. So, what are we going to do in this lecture? We will talk about ontologies, and of course we will apply ontologies in an engineering context. So it means we start with talking about all these things that are involved in the development and also in the application of ontologies within, let's say, a software engineering process. So the first thing we will talk about will be definitely how to design ontologies correctly. The point is, of course, if you want to develop, if you want to design large ontologies, this is not always rather easy. So sometimes it's really difficult because it's difficult to grasp the knowledge from the real world and then somehow to do the correct representation of it with some kind of a formal language. So to make this process efficient and also to enable a distributed processing so that many people can collaborate on a common, huge developed ontology, certain design methodologies have been developed. And we will talk about a rather simple methodology, which is here called Ontology One-on-One. Okay, besides ontology design, this might be rather complex, rather costly. The point is here you can save money and you can make your life much easier if you apply some automated technologies to create or to populate your ontologies. And here we will talk about methodologies and techniques that are available in a field which is called ontology learning. So these are automated methods which support you in the ontology design process. Methods and technology which are able, for example, to create ontologies out of unstructured data, like texts, for example, given in natural language. If you have texts in natural language, you can create ontologies out of it. So you think this is quite difficult? We will see. So there are several techniques. Of course, they are involved in natural language processing and stuff like that are involved there, but they are used for the creation of ontologies from or out of unstructured text, for example. Okay, and when you are dealing with ontologies, of course, you are not always creating a new ontology. Sometimes you reuse existing ontologies, and for that you have to compare ontologies. And sometimes you have to align ontologies because you have to map two different ontologies to a new one. You have to merge two ontologies. And of course, for that process also, interesting techniques do exist which help you to find the correct alignments between two ontologies. Why do different ontologies for the same thing exist? Simply because there is nothing like, let's say, a normal form or a standard form of ontology for viewing the world. Each ontology is a different interpretation of the world that is always somehow, let's say, influenced by the purpose of application you have in mind. So therefore it's also influenced by the conception, by the individual meanings and the individual thoughts of the person who is constructing that kind of model. So therefore we need means of ontology alignment who gives us a hint which parts of an ontology to map with another part of an ontology to exchange really data, to exchange knowledge between ontologies. This is ontology alignment. And of course, when you are designing an ontology, you are interested whether this is a good design or not. So we have to talk about ontology evaluation. How do I consider the quality of an ontology? And you will see that there are lots of interesting quality criteria which we will talk about in 5.5. And this then concludes the official lecture number 5. If you are interested in deeper knowledge about ontological engineering and further topics, you are of course invited also to view the extra parts of that lecture. And they start with 5.6, where we will talk about more, let's say, prominent ontology design methodologies that are really used in praxis. So we will talk about APON, which is one of the methodologies, and the other methodology is called ontology design patterns, which we will take into consideration and which I will shortly introduce to you in lecture 5.6. And then we will dive deeper into ontology evaluation. I mean, to find out whether an ontology really contains error in the sense that there are inconsistencies. So this is quite easy. So this you can do in a formal way, this you can do in an automated way. But if you try to validate whether your ontology really fits the conception of the real world, so whether it's a good model of the real world, so here you have to apply another kind of methodology, another kind of techniques. And I will introduce you here again in ontology validation. So this is more ontology evaluation. And we will talk about a specific methodology that has been developed to consider the quality of an ontology. And this methodology has the name OntoClean. And we will, of course, use OntoClean on an interesting example that will be introduced here in lecture 5.7 and lecture 5.8. Okay, so this will be all then for lecture 5. So please look, listen and enjoy.